Hi everyone, and welcome to the 53rd episode of Battles and Voices. I'm Latika and I'm the founder and host. Battles and Voices brings together generations of people involved in healthcare in order to foster a supportive and connected community. Now, please welcome our guest, Bendu. Bendu, thank you so much for joining us today. We're really excited to have you on Battles and Voices. To start us off, can you please feel free to introduce yourself and share a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, so my name is Bendu. I am a first generation college student. I got my bachelor's in clinical psychology and my first master's in experimental psychology, which is just like a research degree. And now I'm a second year PA student. I'm in clinical year and I'm doing pediatrics right now for my rotation.
It's amazing. I actually want to go in pediatrics or family medicine. Could you actually tell us about your rotation before we get started?
Yeah, so right now, the clinic that I'm working at is they basically service like marginalized populations, people who are uninsured or underinsured. And it's like, honestly, it's all Black and Brown people. And it's been like amazing seeing working with people that like look like me. Not saying that I wouldn't want to treat anyone else who doesn't look like me, but it's just really awesome to see like your reflection and being able to help people who oftentimes are overlooked.
Love that. So your path into healthcare has been unique. What inspired you to transition from psychology and research into medicine?
Yeah. So originally, I wanted to be a pediatrician when I was younger. That was like my ultimate goal. I even did this program in high school where it was like a vocational school where you could get like different technical degrees, and I got my LPN. And one of it was like doing clinicals and speaking with the doctors and nurses that stuff. And the doctors were like, yeah, I wish I wouldn't have done this, or like they were like super burnt out. So I was like, you know what? I don't see this in my future. And I also got really into psychology. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go in for psychology. I remember talking to my advisor and just being so distraught because I truly did not know what I wanted to do. And then so I did that, but then once COVID hit, I'm so sorry for the noise. One second. Okay. So when COVID hit, I had just finished up my first master's, and all of the jobs were basically like gone because they all wanted people who had like different certifications or clearance in the government, and I just didn't have that, and they weren't willing to like pay for that. So like everything kind of shut down, all of my prospects. And I was like, you know what? Like, I would want to go back into medicine. I got COVID, and I like my mom got COVID like in the beginning. And I was like able to help her get better because it got like really bad for a second. And it just like renewed my love for medicine. So yes, I did do some research, but then she told me about the PA position, and I like research, and I was like, yeah, this is perfect for me. I'm still able to practice. I'm still able to examine people, assess and treat people. And I got COVID, my mom got COVID, and it was like really touch and go for a second there. And I was able to like nurse my mom back to health. And that just kind of like renewed my love of medicine. So she told me about one of her coworkers' daughter getting into PA school. So I started researching, and I was like, oh, yeah, this is perfect for me. Not a lot of schooling, but I still able to like treat people, assess, like have that one-on-one interactions with my patients versus what I was doing with research. It wasn't really hands-on, so I like that about the PA field.
Too, I agree with you. Yeah, I can definitely relate from your childhood background about how you said you wanted to become a pediatrician for the very longest time. I also want to become a pediatrician, but then later on in high school, I kind of realized, it's a lot of schooling and a lot of burnout that comes with it. And so I really love that you found the PA profession and hope to, specialize in pediatrics. So you spent years working with marginalized populations and individuals with complex needs. How did those experiences shape your understanding of healthcare and patient care as well?
Yeah, that's a really great question. Honestly, it's given me a lot of empathy for people and being able to advocate for my patients. Like I'm someone who's a marginalized. I was a refugee to this country. We had to learn a whole new system, the American system, and just being able to like help out my patients has just been incredibly rewarding. I feel like for a fact that they really need help, and a lot of times they won't really come to you until things get really dire. So you're like making a lot of impact in their lives too. So I just really love giving back.
Love that. So right now you're completing clinical rotations while also leading initiatives for underrepresented students. That's really amazing. Congratulations. So what motivates you to keep going, especially when those things and tasks get challenging?
Yeah, honestly, PA school is very, very hard. And I'm someone who likes to stay busy. Honestly, if I wasn't doing like extracurriculars, I probably would not be surviving. Because PA school, I feel like it kind of just takes over your life. And if you don't have things outside of that, it can make it just seem a little bit depressing or like, oh, do I actually want to do this? But like being able to give back to the community around me and giving back to like people who are uninsured or underinsured, that just, it proves to me that I'm in the right position. So that's why I do it.
I love that. So you mentioned that showing up for people who don't get a fair shot keeps you going and motivated. Can you share a moment or experience that reinforced that motivation?
I wouldn't say there's just like one moment. I would say there's multiple moments, like when you're taking the time to just speak with your patients and help them understand something that they've like no one has ever told them before. Like for example, I was taking care of someone who has diabetes, uncontrolled diabetes, and no one really took the time to just like talk to them about their medication, how to properly use their medication. It was like they just kind of gave them the spiel and then sent them away. And then, of course, they're not going to get their diabetes under control if they don't understand what's going on or understand like different ways to control their diabetes, like medication. Yes, that's very important, but it's also lifestyle changes too. So a lot of people don't understand that like just walking is helpful, and you don't have to be a runner, you don't have to be in the gym 24/7, but if you're able to walk at least 30 minutes a day, like you'll be okay. And just telling them that like you can break it down and you can like try like switching out like fried foods to baked foods, just really like talking the patients like step by step. That has been like so eye-opening, and being able to like help them in that way, or just like explaining things that like feel like it's simple to me, but it's not to them, like how to clean your ears or the importance of like taking your hypertension medication. And it's like, I know you don't want to take your hypertension medication, but some people, it's not just because they aren't eating right or they're not exercising properly. It could just be like biologic, like genetics, and you will have to like be on the medication, and that's okay. We want you to be here, so please, please, please take your medication. I've had a lot of those conversations too.
Love that. And I love how you're able to talk to your patient to kind of reinforce the motivation for them to, take care of their health. So I really love that. So you also mentioned that you're passionate about the intersection of psychology, rheumatology, and women's health. Why are these areas so important to you, and what do you hope to change in how these patients are treated?
Yeah. So I can start off with psychology because I have a background in psychology. I'm interested in psychology, and I feel like psychology is literally in everything that we do. There's no field of or subspecialty or specialty of medicine that doesn't encompass psychology. So I just think it's really important to always be an advocate for mental health and well-being. And then for rheumatoid arthritis, I have rheumatology, sorry. I have rheumatoid arthritis, so I am constantly like seeing my rheumatologist. And I just think a lot of patients and like as we age, a lot of people have like different joint diseases and disorders. So I feel like it's really important um to be up to date with that information. And it's also just like super complicated too. There's no, like everyone's so unique, so like one medication doesn't work for everyone. So I kind of like the mystery involved with that. I love like true crime, so I feel like that's like kind of the perfect specialty for me because it's all about like figuring out the mystery. And then for women's health, I mean, I'm a woman, and, and there's so much misconceptions when it comes to women's health and like how to treat different diseases or symptoms to look out for. So I just really love like educating patients on that.
How do you approach care to ensure patients feel heard and taken seriously, especially when those symptoms are invisible or even misunderstood?
Mhm. Um, I feel like because I have a invisible illness, I know how like I can't say I know exactly how they feel, but I can like empathize with how they're feeling. Just based on it took me a really long time to figure out what was wrong with me, and it's also taking me a lot to figure out like to figure out medications that are able to help me best. So that's kind of why I make sure that I'm advocating for my patient. See like who can help them, because everyone deserves care. That's like the basic. And no one should feel like they're not being heard or we don't care about their how they're feeling.
I agree with you again. Founding the Impact Collective is such a huge accomplishment. What inspires you to create that organization, and what impact has it had so far on the community?
Yeah. So with the Impact Collective, um, it's basically a community for Black identifying future PAs, or and I created it because there was just a need. Um, Black identifying people are only make up like 3% of the PA population. And I remember like speaking with some of my classmates, and they just wanted support and community in the like PA profession. So I thought that it would be best for all of us to like come together and be able to like support each other, like give each other resources. I know people are constantly posting like different scholarships because like I feel like one of the most important things for people from like minorities in general is just like not having the resources or the knowledge about like what's out there. So if I can connect with other people and like bring scholarships to like my classmates or other people, I feel like that just creates such a huge impact. Right now it's Black History Month, so we're like we're doing a book drive to give like literacy to um to this daycare. They service like Black and Brown populations once again, and hopefully we will be able to like read to them. And I just think that's really important. I always say that like no one can ever take away your knowledge. That's like something that is for you, and it starts with reading, being able to read, being able to understand. So that's impact, and also just like having a community and feeling supportive.
I truly love that. And I love how you use the quote, how, no one can take away your education or your knowledge. And I think that's really powerful. And I absolutely love what you're doing for the community. And it's just so amazing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Of course. So, how has balancing PA school with building and, of course, leading that organization shaped your approach to leadership and advocacy?
I feel like it's just reinforced my love for advocacy. I feel like I've always been advocating, like ever since I was a little girl, advocating for people with disabilities. Then it like turned into advocating with people with mental health, and now it's just like advocating for pretty much everyone. And I know I do a lot of work with Black individuals, but I also like support all minorities, and I try my best to like join different clubs, and support my friends who are a part of the Asian community, the Hispanic community, and other like ethnicities too. Yeah, I just feel like it's really important to like help people in any way you can. It doesn't have to be something major like donating $1 million, but it could be like volunteering at your local boys and girls club or daycare and just like reading to students. I know that I did that in middle school and high school. I would go to a local elementary school and read to the kids, teach them how to spell, things like that. You know.
So, what lessons have you learned from creating spaces where people feel seen, supported, and empowered?
Mhm. Um, I would say the lesson is everyone wants to be seen and heard. And especially like in medicine, I feel like I don't know if you know about the whole like maternal crisis, especially in the Black community, where a lot of people are not being heard, or not being listened to because, once again, like people will brush them off because they're like, oh, yeah, you're not educated. I can do and say whatever. And you're not gonna, like look into it because you don't understand. So I really do feel I've learned that like everything I'm learning, even though PA school is so hard and can be so draining, everything that I'm doing is for my future patients. And I want to be as best as possible for those who I'm going to be taking care of.
Finally, to wrap things up, what advice would you give to students or healthcare trainees who kind of want to pursue PA school and also medicine, but also advocating for underrepresented communities?
Yeah, I would say make sure you do your research when starting to look into like getting into PA school. Make sure that you figure out like what you want, because it's not all about just getting into PA school. You have to like make sure you're getting into a school that you are actually going to like, because that could make or break your experience too. So researching the schools, seeing what they're about, what they offer, and then see if that aligns to you. I always feel like that's the best step. And then another step would also just be like making sure that you get clinical hours, and in whatever the schools that you're applying to, they accept. And then I would say like having good mentors. So reaching out to people on Instagram, people do that to me all the time. Reaching out to people who you would want to like be in their position, like or at their school, asking them about like how the school is or how did you get in, things like that. And then I would also say like speaking with with like the clinical preceptors or not preceptors or providers. So like other PACs who are out there and asking them like what you can do and having them as a mentor too. So definitely research and then reaching out to people and finding a mentor. I feel like those are the best. And then I think there was another part. Could you like what was the second part of the question?
Basically, what advice would you want to give to students who want to go into PA school and also want to advocate for underrepresented communities?
Oh yeah. So if you want to advocate for underrepresented communities, start local. Start with people around you. There's always need for underrepresented communities. So volunteering, I love volunteering at schools, Boys and Girls Club, domestic abuse and violence shelters. You can even volunteer at like hospitals and stuff like that, where you can go in and you can read to the children who are on like the cancer ward. There's always like there's the candy stripers, all of that. And then you can also like reach out to different PA organizations that are specifically like tailored to underrepresented populations, and you can see like how you can help them too or get involved.
Love that. And I love how you also mentioned, volunteering in hospitals and becoming a candy striper. I was actually a candy striper this past summer. So that was honestly a great experience for me, being able to be in those patients' rooms and talking to them and just trying to change the world, just, yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Bendu, thank you so much for that wonderful advice. And also thank you so much for sharing your journey and your insights on advocacy, patient-centered care, and leadership in medicine. Your story is a powerful reminder that healthcare is all about listening, understanding, and showing up for the people who definitely need it the most. And to everyone tuning in, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Battles and Voices. Your support truly means the world to us. If you enjoy this conversation, then be sure to follow, share, and stay tuned for more episodes of Battles and Voices. We'll see you next time.